guys, and welcome back to today's video. I hope you guys are doing great. As you can tell from the title down below, I'm going to be sharing with you kind of how our family encourages an atmosphere of learning in our home. One of my favorite Charlotte Mason quotes, because I do like to copy her and her ideas when it comes to our homeschool. One of my favorite quotes of hers is, an education is an atmosphere, a discipline, and a life. And I love that because I am trying to create that whole atmosphere of learning in our home, so that takes care of the atmosphere. It's a discipline. It very much is a discipline, more so for mama and the little ones, because we have to do it, and we have to do it happily, even on the days when we don't feel like it. And that's really challenging. And then it is a life. It is a complete lifestyle thing. It is not something that you can turn on and off. This is a complete lifestyle change when it comes to homeschooling. And so I wanted to share with you kind of how we take our atmosphere and make it one of learning, to where no matter where the kids are or what they're doing, they kind of have the idea and the feeling that they're learning something, whether that be the items that we have sitting out and things like that. But I'll show you like what those are. We need to come see your mommy. Come here. Hi. 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 Yeah, I did touch about this idea a little bit in my video that I made about how we organize our homeschool without a homeschool room. I'll have that video linked down below if you want to check that out. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that I try to do, and this is something that just stays out all the time, as mentioned before, we don't have a schoolroom. Our dining room is kind of our schoolroom. So I have this 3-section basket thing, and it stays out in our dining room all the time. I have crayons and pencils and everything like that. The reason why I leave this out and don't have it in some type of a thing to take out every single day is I want them to, if they walk by the table in the morning or afternoon or evening or whatever it is, I want them to see that and think, oh, I want to color or I want to draw. I want them to be surrounded in their life with things that are creative and educational. And then I have notebooks and things like that always accessible. That way they can grab it whenever they want and be creative whenever their little heart desires. Another thing that I try to do, and this is something a little bit more recent for our family, but since we've been taking really big trips to the library and coming out with like 2 tote bags full of books every time we go, I've been leaving the library books separate from our typical bookshelf so they don't get mixed up, for one. But I've also found that having them in that separate space and on the floor and in the way, so to speak, the kiddos are always like gravitating towards the book basket. They'll just sit down or plop down on the chair or the couch, grab a book because they're right there in front of them. And I really like having them there. So it's very different from just having all the books on the bookshelf. That's just a really fun way to have that constant reminder of like, hey, my book, read me, to the kids. And they've actually done a lot more like self-exploration and reading with the books that way than typically if we have them just on our shelf. Another thing that we always keep out, we don't actually have a lot of toy storage in our living room. We try to keep it mostly confined to the playroom and their bedrooms and things like that. But what is in the living room is, of course, our library book basket, which I showed you. We have like a little car basket thing that they play with all the time. We have our Melissa and Doug little wooden blocks that they also play with all the time. And then of course a little baby corner, which I can show you here in a minute. But those are the only little areas in our living room. But I wanted to have those little things in the living room because like the cars and the free play and things like that, the imaginative play things, like the open-ended play items, I love having that easily accessible at all times. And cars are a really big one in our family. The kids play with them all the time. And then of course the baby corner, which I showed you earlier, it just has her little Zazu block on it, a little rug and some toys that the baby can kind of dig into and explore whenever she wants, and things like that. But just having a few items accessible to where if you do have a toy room and have everything closed off, but you're still having those little educational activities and things throughout the home as well. And it's really fun as well because when we're doing school in the dining room here, then the baby can just crawl around and go to a couple different areas where she knows there'll be some fun activities and toys and things like that. Another thing that we do, and this is honestly mostly for school, but I have a blackboard here, and on the blackboard, as you can tell, is all the current sight words that we're working on. I love having the blackboard. It's honestly kind of centrally located in our home to where no matter where we are in the house, or at least in the middle of the house, we can see this blackboard. So I can be cooking dinner and I can be like, hey Oliver, like what is the third word down? What is the fourth word down? And things like that. So even if we're eating dinner, if I'm cooking, if we're reading if we're reading a book here, we're like, hey, the book that we're reading actually has a sight word. Can you show me where the word like is? And everything like that. So having something open like this where throughout the day, or even your sight words can become almost this regular part of your conversation. And that has really helped us in our family, especially when it comes to the preschoolers and kindergartners learning their sight words. And it's such a fun thing too, because it's not limited to just opening a book, read the sight letters, and then be done. We're actually talking about them in everyday language, like, hey, mommy just used this word, can you go show it to me on the blackboard, and things like that. And it's just fun to kind of incorporate that into our everyday living, so to speak. Another really fun way that we like to create an atmosphere of learning in our home is I actually like hanging up little flashcards. I have shapes behind me from a company called Thistle and Biscuit. I love that company. They're beautiful illustrations. And then I also have some more shape cards on the wall here for my preschooler. I do need to change them out, and I haven't decided what I'm going to change them out with. It'll probably end up being some kind of like a math thing or something like that, or numbers and things like that that my preschooler is needing help with now. But I love using those just throughout our home. I think they're actually really pretty, and it creates, like I said, that atmosphere of learning to where no matter where they are, they can kind of look up at those little shape ropes and see all the different shapes, and we can talk about it. And again, the same idea for the blackboard. I can be cooking, sitting in the living room and be like, hey, who can show me where like the octagon or the pentagon or the hexagon, who can find those shapes for me? And they'll come to one of the shape ropes and point it out. But it's just a really fun way to, again, bring those educational things into everyday living to, again, where they have no idea that they're doing school, because that is our goal, right? Is I don't want to be limiting our school and learning to just that set 45 minutes a day. I do want to make that into our everyday routine and everyday talking and things like that. And the last thing I wanted to mention that we try to do, and this is a huge thing for our family, something that I do every single day, and it's something my husband does every night when putting my kindergartner and preschooler to bed, and that is doing read alouds. We love read alouds, and it's incredible to me how much our little ones actually learn when we don't think they're paying attention. Because we'll read 2-3 chapters into the story, and you can kind of tell when the kids are starting to really get into the story. But what's funny is they'll still be continually playing. They'll be doing imaginative play, active play, but they'll also ask questions throughout the story, like, well, why did the mole do that? You know, why did Mouse and Mole do that? You know, that type of thing. And so it's really, really fun way to read those character building stories because they pay attention even when we don't realize it. They do. And it's such a fun way to learn, right? Not to mention that if they are cuddled up next to you on the couch, such a fun bonding moment as well. And then at night, my husband also does the same thing where the kids will pick out a couple books and then they'll read stories. And they'll read stories, right? Yeah. Well guys, thank you again for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, these are just a few of the things that our family does to help us as our journey in parenthood and homeschooling to create the atmosphere of love of learning in our home. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot here. And as always, I'd love to have you join our family, and you can do so by subscribing down below. Yes, are you ready for a nap? Yeah? But until our next video, you guys have a great rest of your week.